Nearly every trader who comes to the market learns to trade the long, hard way. And honestly, because it's long and hard, most of them give up before they ever hit consistent profitability. One of the biggest issues out there is nobody says what the correct, structured, shorter path is to learning to trade the markets. So by the end of this video, I will make it ultra clear for you what the shortest path to trading is. But first of all, I'm going to talk about the typical path that traders take when they first come to the markets, and you can tell me if this sounds familiar. So the first thing they do is they get on social media and they try to gather as much information as they can. A lot of it happens on YouTube. They try to find some sort of mentor or guru or maybe it's a legitimate source of information and they gather as much as they can. But at some point, the vast majority get sucked into the idea that they can make 10% or 20% on their account every day so they can get cash flow so they can quit their job because that's what everybody wants. I get it. I wanted that too. So you it doesn't look like 10 to 20% per day. What they usually say is you can make $400 on a $3,000 account, or you can make $500 on a $5,000 account, or $1,000 every day on a $10,000 account. And some of them might say, well, you're not going to make it every day, but you'll make it most days, which means over the course of a week, you still make enough money to pay your bills and you can quit your job. They usually say something like, it'll take you 3 to 6 months of just practicing and showing up every day, and then you'll be able to execute this strategy. So after 6 months, a year, sometimes 2 years, the new trader begins to see that there's something up. No matter how hard they try, no matter how hard they work at this, no matter how hard they try to get their psychology right, they just can't make money. And some feel really bad. They feel like it's their fault. Others think, yeah, I don't know, there's something up with this. So then they start to strategy hop. They start to just trying to find something that will work. They keep finding all this information, taking in all this information, and trying to find something that will work. You can see how these people legitimately and genuinely want to learn to trade. They are trying. They're showing up every day. They're trying to get more information, but it ends up being the long way to trade. It ends up just looking like, well, you just got to show up to the market every day and you just got to grind it out. And some people take it to an extreme and they spend 10 hours in front of the screen every day. And they hear stories of people that after 5 to 10 years, they get consistently profitable, but they don't clue into the fact that it takes them 5 to 10 years. Now, I'm basing 5 to 10 years off of one of the first mentors that I had. And he said it took him over 5 years to get consistently profitable. But as we continued the mentorship, he also said that at some point he broke out spreadsheets. He didn't talk much about it, but he did say that he started tracking some of this stuff in spreadsheets, and he talked a little bit about that. That reduced his timeline because I just watched a podcast, Words of Wisdom, where a woman is doing really well, or I guess last year was doing really well at an investing championship. And she learned by just showing up to markets and staring at the screens. And she said it took her 10 years. So that's what I'm basing 5 to 10 years off of. And I think that's pretty realistic. There's actually a lot of those who do become consistently profitable that say that it took them that long to get consistently profitable. Now, conversely, SMB Capital, who has a structured program where traders show up every day, they have something to do, they have mentors who are right there by their side helping them the whole way. They have Dr. Brett Steenbarger coming in, helping them to be able to get past things and learn how to view the markets correctly. They have capital. They have every resource that you can possibly imagine available to them. Mike Bellafiore says two things about that. He says, one, on the short side, it can take 6 to 8 months of grinding out 9, 10-hour days always having something to do, day trading, and it just constantly learning from people who really know the markets. Take 6 to 8 months to get consistently profitable under those very favorable conditions, you know, obviously versus 5 to 10 years of grinding it out. And the reality is that most people give up after 2 to 3 years. I mean, we could loosely put that 90% number to it, right? Over 90% of traders fail, probably over 90% give up in that first 2 to 3 year window when they're not making any progress. Can you see how one way is the fast way, a structured way of learning versus the other way that has no structure to it? We don't know what we're doing. We're just showing up, we're watching the screens, and our mind is not really ever able to put anything together. Your mind needs help, guys. It needs help to put it together. So the Edge Foundry method is somewhere in between, right? Because SMB wants something like $30,000 US to go through their program. And I'm not at all critical of that. It seems like they offer value and they have a very high success rate in teaching their traders how to trade. But most people don't have $30,000. They have family obligations. They have a full-time job. They can't do that. So the Edge Foundry method gets people started off on a structured process that is the same framework as what institutions and hedge funds, banks, what they're using to develop trading strategies. Same framework, but simplified so that retail traders can do it. We aim to try to take about maybe half an hour to 45 minutes every evening to just look over the markets, maybe log some trades in your spreadsheet, and just develop that structure of learning the markets. And then in addition to that, you might have to take some time on the weekends to do a proper structured review and make notes and actually find those refinements. So in that context, you don't have the resources that SMB has. Let's just admit that. But you're also following a structured process. So you're not going to take 5 to 10 years or give up and never learn the markets. It is going to be slower than 6 to 8 months. And the second thing that Mike Bellafiore says about that is that 6 to 8 months is very optimistic. I can't find it right now, but I've seen in other interviews that he's done that they've talked more about like 1 to 2 years is pretty common for a lot of traders. So you can see how it does take some time. It takes some market experience. But if you're learning in a structured way, you're going to get there versus just showing up to the screens every day and trying to get your psychology right or following somebody who's giving you an unrealistic expectation of making like 10% on your account every day or most days and learning to trade in 3 to 6 months. That's obviously not realistic, and that's going to be the longer path. That shortcut is going to end up being the longer path to learning to trade, or most times just leads to you giving up. Now, one of the things that the Edge Foundry wants to give you is clear milestones. When you're on your trading journey, you need to see that you're achieving something, that you're actually on a path that leads to consistency. So while you're doing this back testing, you get your back testing. We encourage people to do about 50 occurrences to start with. Okay, there's one milestone. I got my back test done, and you can clearly see how how your trade setup acts. So you have some information. You can progress. Next step is you're going to start paper trading it and you're going to start forward testing. We encourage you to at least get 10 to 20 trade occurrences before you do your first refinement and review all of that together. When you review all of that together, you're immediately going to see some things that stand out to you that are going to help you to trade this strategy better. So as you keep doing those 10 to 20 occurrences, you're going to keep seeing that your strategy, your setup is producing better and better results. And we encourage you to, in fact, our free spreadsheet that we give away has basic analytics. So over time, you can see how your expected outcome, your win rate, your average risk to reward ratio continues to improve, or if it doesn't improve, then you know exactly what to do. You know that the last refinements that you made aren't working, or that there's something else. There's like a risk off regime that you need to take into consideration where the overall market's not supporting your strategy. So you start to get these milestones, these things that you can quantify that tell you that you are moving towards your goals. And you have also the support that you can do your own research on this, the basic idea of back testing, forward testing, and continuing to have iterations of a strategy that improve over time as you refine. You can do your own research on that. That is exactly how institutions and banks do it. Of course, with big computers and quants and all sorts of fancy stuff that is very expensive, but you don't need that. As long as you're continuing to review and refine and you can see that you're moving towards your goal, then you're going to be encouraged. What the mindset that causes people to stop almost every single time is after 2 or 3 years, they all get to this point where they're like, I'm not consistently profitable and I don't know what the next step is. I don't know what to do next to move. I've tried a dozen different strategies. I feel really jaded with mentorships because all of the mentors that I've ever gone and tried to talk to about this or tried to learn from, no one is giving me outcomes that I can expect that if I spent my money, that I should be able to do this when I'm done this course. And I went into the course thinking that I was going to be consistently profitable when I was done, but no one ever really committed to that or said that. And so now I'm just done the course and I don't know what to do next. And I spent this money and I've been trading for years and I just don't know what to do. We never want somebody who works with the Edge Foundry to feel that way. You should always know what the next step is so that you can continue to better your strategy and move forward as a trader. This is the shortest path, and it's not a short path. It's not 3 to 6 months, but it's not the reality of 5 to 10 years either. It's something that you can quantify, something that you will see is moving you forward. I just started my own sub on Reddit, Traders Edge Labs. I'll leave that in the description for you. If you want to come and join me, I'm there. I answer all questions. I can talk about what it takes to develop Edge on a strategy. You can post charts. Uh, by all means, give me questions. I love to answer them, and I look forward to seeing you there.